this morning. We have Bobbi Jo. I'm not going to pronounce your last name, forgive me, but Bobbi Jo has some good news for us. How
Thank
did you
you.
say that?
Machholz. It's
Machholz.
M-A-C, Mac, and then Holtz, yes. I know, I was Bobbi Jo Harvey for 47 years, and now I have a very different last name. Well, good morning, everyone. A little intimidating up here, but I'll just go with it. So my name is Bobbi Jo Machholz, and I'm new here to Unity, so thank you for having me. I absolutely love it here, and you speak the same language as me, and it's nice to finally find a home. So today, it was labeled Living Your Best Life, and that God is the creator. So if God is the creator, I believe He put us here to create. And what are we creating? Are we living our best life? The life that He created for us? And how do we know if we're doing it right or wrong? There's no book that we look into, there's no website or scroll through an app and go, oh, Bobbi Jo, yoga teacher, success coach, got it. So how do we know? We know here in our heart, with our heart intelligence. I tell my yoga students to lead with our heart in love and not with our head in fear. So that brings me to the subject that I want to talk about, the mind. This is what I specialize in. And if I ask you a question like, what color is your front door? What color is your back door? How many drawers is there in your dresser? Now when I ask you these questions, there's images that are tucked into a group of cells in our brain. And when you're asked this, it stimulates and triggers those cells, and an image flashes on your mind. So know this, that the brain is the physical, but the mind is the activity. And they're two different things. The brain is actually an electrical switching station for where these synapses go back and forth. The mind is logic, and the mind is controlled by what we call a paradigm. Now I could talk about paradigms for hours, but a paradigm is a multitude of habits that we have and we operate by. So they're basically our ideas and our beliefs that give us our behaviors. And you don't even know you're operating from the paradigm. So I'm going to talk for a minute about the conscious mind. So imagine here is this big head. My head here is really big, okay? And imagine that there's a line going across it. And the top is our conscious mind. And then the bottom is our subconscious mind. Now science has it that we only use about 2 to 4% of our conscious mind. The rest of it we're operating in our subconscious mind. So we'll just round it off and exaggerate and say we only use 5% of our conscious mind. And in the subconscious mind, that's where the paradigm lies. And when you're 0 to 7 years old, you don't have a conscious mind at all. So everyone that you are near, your parents, your community, your teachers, your friends, your grandparents, everything that they say to you just lands right into that subconscious mind, and you know it as your truth. This is why poverty and welfare people, they'll be 5 years in generation, because they have this paradigm that they don't even know that they're operating from, that keeps them in this habitual way of thinking over and over. It's their beliefs, it's their habits by which they go. We can also live in a cultural paradigm. The foods we eat, the way we think as a culture. They're not even really our own thoughts, but we've been grown up year after year, decade after decade, thinking the same way from our paradigm. So what we have here is our sensories. What we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And that's how we operate. This is how we are raised to live through our senses. But our dogs can do this. They can see something, they can smell something, squirrel, there they go, and they're very reactive. And I think that generally in large, this is how the world operates. We operate through our sensories of what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, and we're very reactive. Well, I offer and I teach people about mental faculties. And there's 6 of them, and they're wonderful tools. And one is a memory. Everyone always says, oh, I have a bad memory. Like we were just talking about, when you say something, you give it power. But we actually have wonderful memories and great memories. And if you just allow sometimes, if you can't think of something, instead of saying, oh, I don't have a good memory, if you just allow spirit to work through you, you always will be like, oh, that's it, I got that. Well, what about when you go to the grocery store and you're forgetting something on the list and you're just walking down an aisle and all of a sudden it just pops in, oh, I need to get olive oil. Oh yeah. That's what I like to think of our memory. We have reasoning. This is the ability to think. Our animals can't do it. As far as I know, we are the highest form of creation in the animal kingdom here. So reasoning, you have the ability to think about something and think about the pros or the cons or whatever, but that's that reasoning, mental faculty that's really important. And the next one is a will, the will to focus. So when someone says something to you and not react and get defensive, you have the will to, let's think about this, let's reason with this. And then you can respond. The intuition. We all have that intuition. We don't even tap into it nearly as much as we should. Forbes magazine wrote an article almost 2 years ago in June of 2018 and said how intuition is the new intelligence. Yes, you need to be educated and smart in your field of specialty knowledge, but it's just listening to that inner voice, that inner part. The next one is imagination. Look at everything around you. Everything here was created twice. First it was in someone's mind, and then they designed it. So like the podium, or the microphone, or the lights, or your car, Henry Ford. Right? He had the imagination. He knew it could be done. I know he was looked at as cold-blooded and ruthless, but he knew he had a thought in that 8-cylinder and just told him year after year, they said, Mr. Ford, we cannot do this. And he said, it can be done. So that imagination. And then we have perception. I like to do this. Perception. You would say there's writing on this, which is a great book, by the way, Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And I would say, no, it's completely dark. There's no writing. And you say, there is writing. And I say, no, there's not. And you say, yes, there is, Bobbi Jo. But because you're right, it doesn't mean I'm wrong. And we need to, in life, look at that. Just because of your perception doesn't mean it's necessarily true. It's just the way you've been thinking by that paradigm all these years. So if you were to ask me, like, what my favorite holiday is, I'd instantly probably just say Christmas. Because my mother loved Christmas so much. I mean, I come home from the beach in the summer living on Cape Cod and she'd be vacuuming listening to Jingle Bells, and Elvin and the Chipmunks and all of that. And my mom loved Christmas so much, so that became my cultural paradigm, my paradigm. Like, I love Christmas because my mom loved it so much. So my mentor, Bob Proctor, he tells a story that his wife cooks a ham every year. She cuts off one end, she flips it around, she cuts off the other end, she dresses it up and puts it in the oven. And after watching her do this for years, he says, why do you do that? And she said, well, this is how my mother prepared the ham. So he called his mother-in-law and said, why is it you cut one side of the ham and cut off and then dress it and put it, why do you cut the ham? She goes, my mother did it. And luckily enough, he was young enough, and his mother-in-law's mother was alive still, and he called her, and Betty, why is it you do this with the ham, cutting off one side and the other? And she goes, oh, Bob, I couldn't fit it in the pan. So all these years, through generations, you have this habitual way of looking at something, your perception, your paradigm. The subconscious expresses whatever is impressed upon it. It doesn't know reality from unreality. So what are you thinking about? What do you spend your days thinking about? Remember, those beliefs and habits came from others at such a young age that they're not even ours, but we've been going through it for so decades that we are so determined that that is the right way. And I want you to know that the science is behind this now, that there's a Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton. And because of technology, they are proving that 5% of what we have is genetics. Where before we thought maybe, oh, my mom had cancer, I got it, cancel, cancel. Or my mom has diabetes, I have it, cancel, cancel. But what it is that you say it so much to yourself that the body is just an instrument of our mind, and everything you tell it, it creates. So when you say these things over and over, I was at a concert recently out in Red Rocks in Colorado, and a guy next to me said, I'm going deaf. He's like, what? My father's deaf, I'm going deaf too. And I was like, stop. Stop saying that and creating that. Your words have power. And your belief system definitely does. And that's Dr. Bruce Lipton. He does the biology of belief, and he is amazing. I never had crushes in my life, and these gentlemen are just out of the world what they're doing. So this is the science of today. You know, maybe the diabetes is your eating habits were what were hereditary. So that's why if your mom had diabetes, you have it because of your eating habits. Where they had a heart attack, you have a heart attack. It's not so much that it was genetics. It's because of your mindset and your eatings. So how does this all tie back to God and the Creator? Because He wants us to create. To do that, we really have to know ourselves here in the heart. Because we've been told, oh, you go to school, you get a job, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to, money doesn't grow on trees, all of these things. You kind of just shuffled along and living everyone else's dream. And that's what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks a lot about too, that we're living other people's dreams from these paradigms in our subconscious that were programmed so long ago like a computer. And we need to learn to really program that. And these paradigms go through generations, generation after generation, a certain way that we believe. So we really need to know ourselves. That when you sit in prayer and in meditation, and you really listen to yourself, here in your heart, not the paradigm. What is it that you truly want? And the answers are all here. So maybe you've always wanted to write a book. Maybe own a flower shop. Start a nonprofit. And something in there, that little seed, you know, but then that paradigm will say, you can't do that. Maybe they're saying, well, who's this girl? She doesn't know what she's talking about. The paradigm is so strong in us because it's our habitual way of thinking. It's kind of like a hiking. When you go hiking and there's that certain path, that's how we get up in the morning. We put our pants on the same leg, one after another. You drink your coffee at the same hand, you brush your hair, you brush your teeth. Everything's so habitual. You really need to learn to know yourself, to form that new path, the true path that your soul came here to be. I'm totally off sync, but I'm okay. And the paradigm is logical. You might say, oh, you're too old. You never know. I might have till tomorrow. You might have 40 more years. You don't know anything. So you're here to live the life that you want to live. So you need to learn to listen to the inside and know that what the mind is doing, and hopefully I educated you there a little bit today with that. What I'm hoping to bring here today is awareness. And awareness, it's like a dark room when you light that match. You can see light, you can see it in every corner, and there's so much awareness. Awareness of yourselves, awareness of this paradigm I'm talking about, the awareness of our minds and the repetitiveness that it talks about constantly, that inner chit-chat. Knowing your mind and how it works is really important. and how you've been operating from that paradigm for most of your life and you never knew. But remember, you are in control of the mind. The mind is not in control of you. And remember that we only use about 5% of that conscious mind. So that 95 other percent is that subconscious mind. It's in that autopilot. They say we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. And that 90% of them is the same way we've been thinking the day before. And the day before, and the day before. So what you try to do with each day is you wake up and you set that intention that you're going to use your mind, and it is so powerful, and you can create and have and be anything in your life. Like I said before, the subconscious mind doesn't know reality from unreality. So if you keep picturing health in your mind and saying, I am healthy, you can switch it, and your body will heal. And you should watch Dr. Joe Dispenza, because on biblical terms, he is just healing people. People who couldn't see are seeing, people who couldn't hear, have 50 tumors, they're healing themselves with meditation. So we are in control of our minds. And that brings me here to today, that we have a choice. Faith or fear. And look around us. Watch that news. I try not to. I want to be not paranoid. I want to be prepared. You got to educate yourselves. But I feed into the faith that God knows a better way. And that there's going to be silver linings out of this. And maybe we all needed that to have learned a little bit more community is what I believe. A little bit to be there for each other. And not be so selfish into ourselves and our phones and everything. So you can't see faith and you can't see fear. But which one have you been feeding? And this makes me think of that old Cherokee Indian fable. You probably know this one, so I'll just kind of go over it briefly. But the old Cherokee Indian was with his grandson and was telling his grandson that we all have two wolves inside of us. As I get goosebumps saying this. And the one wolf is fear, doubt, guilt, resentment, ego, negativity, all these negative things. And the other wolf is full of love and compassion and generosity and peace and bliss and faith and kindness. And the little boy thought about it for a while, and then he said, well, grandfather, which wolf wins? And the old Indian grandfather said, the one you feed. So which one do you feed? Faith or fear? Because you are in control. You are in control of your actions. Whether you are responding to someone or reacting to someone, to not live by those sensories that we talked about, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch are outside, but that we have those mental faculties inside. The will, the reasoning, the memory, and the intuition, imagination, and perception. And these are the ones that we work on to be educated and to come from a place of responding and not reacting to what's going on around us. So you have control of your thoughts because your thoughts are energy. So I ask you again, deep in your heart, are you living your best life? Only you know. But it does show up in your results. So if you're not getting results that you want in your life, maybe go a little bit deeper. Hopefully today, and moving forward, you can live your best life and why God, the Creator, created you. Because our DNA is perfect. God has made us perfect. And it's funny how we come into the world and everyone tells us in that paradigm and we fight so hard just to be back. But I am here to tell you that you are all loved. You are awesome. You're smart. You're amazing. And you all are perfect. And God bless. And namaste. And that's all I have for you today. Sorry it wasn't so long. And then from here we go into a meditation.